Just listen. Right now, I want you to try something. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just listen. Did you hear it? That soft, rhythmic whoosh of air moving through your windpipe. That is the sound of your life. It is the most constant rhythm in your existence. But here is the strange part. Until I just mentioned it, you were likely completely deaf to it. How is that possible? Your ears are only a few inches away from your nose and mouth. Physiologically, your breath should sound like a roaring industrial fan inside your head. You breathe about 20,000 times every single day. Every second, you are generating noise. And yet, your brain has decided to systematically erase this sound from your reality. Today, we are not just talking about biology, we are talking about the cold censor living inside your skull, a mechanism that doesn't just mute your breath, but actually dictates how you handle stress, how you perceive danger, and why you might feel increasingly disconnected from yourself in this modern world. If your brain didn't mute your breath, your life would be a non-stop psychological thriller. Imagine you are walking down a quiet street at night. Every rustle of a leaf, every distant footstep could be a sign of danger. If your ears were filled with the thunderous pounding of your own lungs, you would never hear the threat approaching. Your ancestors, the ones survival testing themselves in the high grass of the savannah, couldn't afford to be distracted by their own internal mechanics. To solve this, evolution gave you a high-level neurological feature called sensory cancellation. The moment your brain sends a command to your diaphragm to inhale, it simultaneously sends a mute signal to your auditory cortex. It is like a world-class sound engineer who perfectly pulls down the fader on the background noise the exact millisecond the microphone turns on. This mechanism allows us to dedicate our incredibly limited attention to the outside world, to the tiny, lethal, or opportunistic changes in our environment. But this protection comes with a subtle, modern price tag. Because we have become so good at ignoring ourselves, when we no longer have to listen for lions in the bushes, this habit of ignoring our internal signals starts to make us numb. You ignore your breath. Then you ignore the tension in your shoulders. You ignore the knot in your stomach. You ignore the sharp, silent scream of burnout in the back of your mind. Modern exhaustion often starts the moment you lose the ability to detect your own state. Have you ever had those days? You didn't do any heavy lifting, but the moment you sit down at the end of the day, you feel utterly hollowed out. It is because your brain has been working overtime, frantically filtering out a billion breaths of modern noise. The hum of the air conditioner, the vibration of your phone, the flickering light of the screen, and most importantly, the background noise of your own constant self-criticism. Your internal sensor is exhausted. It has blocked out the static, but it has also disconnected you from the source. However, we can reverse engineer this. Since your brain evolved this function to protect you, you can actually hack your own biology by deliberately listening again. Most of the time, you feel anxious because you feel like you've lost control. You can't control your boss, the economy, or the traffic. But in that sea of chaos, your breath is the one thing that is both automatic and subject to your will. When you choose to hear it again, you are reclaiming your territory. You are telling that exhausted internal sensor, hey, it is okay. You can take a break now. I don't need you to filter the world for a moment. I want to feel it. This simple act of noticing is more effective than almost any stress relief hack. It physically lowers the fire in your nervous system. If you find it hard to listen to your breath right now, or if focusing on it makes you feel more anxious, don't worry. That isn't a failure. It actually means your brain is in a high alert state, trying desperately to protect you from what it perceives as a chaotic environment. If listening to your breath feels too intense, try a different anchor. Feel the weight of your feet pressing against the floor. That solid, unmoving pressure is another signal that can bypass the sensor and bring your brain back to the present. Or try the simplest mechanical fix. Make your exhale just a little bit longer than your inhale. This acts like a formal memo to your nervous system, stating that the emergency is over and it is safe to power down. In this screamingly loud world, we are all looking outward. We watch the feeds, we listen to the gurus, we monitor the metrics. But the most profound, healing sound you will ever hear has been playing inside you since the moment you were born. It has never stopped. even though you stopped listening to it years ago. The next time you feel overwhelmed, try to have a conversation with your biology. Thank your brain for the millions of years it spent filtering out the noise so you could survive. And then, ask it to be quiet for just 60 seconds. Listen to the tide coming in and going out. That is the sound of your fortress. You will find that when you finally hear yourself again, the rest of the world finally starts to make sense. This is the beauty of our evolution. It gave us a shield to ignore the distractions, but it left the key to our peace hidden right there, in the very thing we forgot to notice. May you find your rhythm again in the quiet spaces between those breaths.